if you are a promoter, we're going to talk about some tips for aspiring promoters that are coming up, and from Tyler's side of stuff, like from the track side of stuff, and then we'll also talk about a little bit of everything that goes on behind the scenes, and then also kind of how he got to the point of where he's at. Alrighty, let's take this down. This is obviously you see the circuit on there, huh? Rocky Mountain
I,
Raceway and Route 66.
I
Man,
see
gonna be
that.
gonna be a great year for Mo-Kan Dragway. Mr. Tyler West, how are you this evening, sir?
Good guys, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Oh
we're
man,
good.
I'm excited about you being on here tonight. I'm excited about some of the tips and tricks that you can kind of give us, and obviously taking the time out tonight to spend with us here. I know 8 p.m. on a Wednesday, you're probably doing something other than talking to a bunch of Drag and Drive folks. So we appreciate your time tonight.
It was a long day at the racetrack today. We were had stuff to get done, but no, I'm happy to join you guys.
Well, that's awesome. Well, if you will, kind of give us a small recap, just shorten it up because we're going to talk about it later. But kind of give us a recap of like you know how you got here, and then also like what's the daily life of a GM at a racetrack?
Well, I mean, just start off. I mean, I started off begging my grandpa, my neighbor, anybody, take me to the racetrack, please. I'd love to go. And so started off like that as a kid. Turned 14, you get a learner's permit in Kansas. That's good to get you to work or school. And I figured, well, I better get a job at the drag strip. So Carl and the Blanton family welcomed me in back then, and uh, it's just kind of been uh, part of the family ever since, I guess.
Wow, that's really cool. I didn't know that. I knew you had kind of grown up close-ish to the track. I didn't know you had actually worked there as a young man. That's pretty cool, man. That's a
Yeah.
talk about a cool job, dude. I never even thought about working at a racetrack. Not that I could have. I was an hour from Joplin, but dude, that's awesome.
Well, and the whole deal was I wanted to race my 18-second car. I wanted to go out there and race, and in order to drive out there, I needed to have employment. So I'd show up a few hours early and help pick up trash and work the front gate, and then I wouldn't get paid anything. I'd just get handed a tech card when they didn't need me anymore. So off I'd go to race.
Nice. Well, that's pretty cool. Well, big shout out to Carl and Craig and the team over there that made all of that possible, and then eventually made this possible because
Yeah.
kind of walk us through like your career real quick. You were at a track beforehand. How did you get there?
So I had worked part time at MoCan as an announcer and whatever they needed me to do kind of job. Um, but that was just on the weekends. I always wanted a full time job in motorsports,
Hmm.
but I never really knew where I would fit in. Um, I was able to take a chance and send out some applications with. I think at the time I had like 12 years of part time
Wow.
drag strip employment on my
Yeah.
resume. That with what I'd been doing 9 to 5 was enough to get me a corporate. I was the director of corporate partnerships at Memphis,
Oh.
um, and I loved that job. It was so cool. Drag strip, road course, NASCAR track, and I got to sell all the sponsors for it.
Wow.
There were times that I was like, I don't know if I have any business being here, but it was really cool.
Yeah.
Um, so COVID hit, shut down most all of the entertainment venues, um, racetracks included. The list of tracks that the company that I worked for, they realized, hey, our Florida track is going to be getting ready to open, and they wanted to ship me down to Palm Beach. So I was at Palm Beach International Raceway drag strip operations,
Nice.
um, oversaw half of a world class facility down there, and that was a totally different universe. Um, I don't
For
know
a
how.
boy, for a dude from Kansas, I bet.
Yeah, I mean the town I grew up in doesn't even have a stoplight or McDonald's, so uh, Palm Beach was wild. But that was a little bit too corporate for me from where I grew up.
Yeah.
I there's a fine line in motorsports between uh, a great grassroots facility and one that's a dump, and a corporate a facility that's ran uh, with corporate structure, and one that's just corporatey and gross. So,
Mm.
um, but I got some experience in the corporate side of running a racetrack, and then wanted to find a track that was a lot like Mocan that. Uh, had a lot of history. And so then that took me to Amarillo, Texas. I spent 2 years in Amarillo doing everything possible to try to bring that track back
Mhm.
to what it used to be. We got a new timing system put in out there, and really made a pretty significant impact in the community of letting them know, hey, we're
That's awesome.
here. And then got the call, said, hey, we want to bring you back to Mocan. We think it's time. Uh, and at any point, I could have been a week into my job in Memphis or any of the other places. If Carl called and said, "Hey, I need you," I'd be there in a hurry. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Can I start in the morning?
yeah, and that was pretty much how it worked. So,
If I leave now, I can be making announcements tonight.
yeah, yeah. I think, in
So
fact, I moved back. I finished up the season in Amarillo, and there was still about a month of racing left out here. The same day that I unloaded my U-Haul, it was a Friday. There was a test and tune. I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta
I
be there
gotta go.
right now. Yeah.
How
So,
cool, man. Well, that's pretty awesome. Well, how long have you been at MoCan? And then let's start talking about kind of the season and things like that.
so this is the beginning of my second year being a full-time employee. I say, general manager. It's just a title. Um, if you go to Mocan, you'll see the general manager fixing toilets and picking up trash.
Yeah.
Like there's not
It means
anything that.
you're the first one to get yelled at.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome. Well, like I said before we brought you on, man, that team out there is so amazing. They've been so good to us over the years, and last year was an awesome first time to meet you. And dude, it's only gotten better. We from like a spectator and promoter side, I feel like this is a huge win for them. Uh, a lot of new life being breathed into the track, into the facility. You guys have done a great job over the last 15 months, really stepping up your game as far as social media and everything.
Yeah, I think just more hands less work kind of situation. Whether that's big uh, manual labor type projects or the social media side
Yeah,
of pumping content out. Um, and we've got a great group of photographers that are out there every weekend that
yeah,
make our jobs really easy to come up with fresh content. So yeah, and on a communication side,
yeah,
you as one of our promoters have two contacts.
yeah.
If there's something that you need, Craig might be on the mower, but I might just be, playing slot machines on my phone. I don't know.
I know. I
So
was saying, I know that's a lot. Yeah, you guys stay so busy. So let's talk about the season because you guys kick off pretty early. The last few years I've been to the day one racing, but I didn't get to make it this year. So when did you guys kick the season off?
we got to click the season, get the season going early this year. Our first scheduled event was supposed to be the first weekend in March, but it was the last weekend in February where the forecast just decided it's going to be 75 degrees and
Yeah,
beautiful, and we'd be silly not to open up the gates.
yeah.
And it turns out that was the right call. We were swamped
Oh,
for the season opener. It was awesome, and everybody's itching to get back. Although on our end, the off season feels like it's a few weeks. Um,
well,
it
it kind of is like we didn't get to catch up at PRI, but you were there with them, and you go from the 1st of December to the end of February, dude. That's not very much time.
Yeah, yeah, it flies by, and there's a lot of stuff to get done over the off season because it's the time that we have to, stop and tear stuff down, and actually have a few weeks
Yeah.
to get stuff worked on.
Mm.
But yeah, it's never long enough. But now that we're back in the swing of things, even though we run like 80 events a year, we were giddy about getting to open
Yeah.
the gates up for the first time this year. We missed race car noises, so it's glad to be back.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's
So you
awesome.
got so you got three drag and drive events coming to Mocan this year. You got the circuit, Rocky Mountain Race Week, and 666. So is this your first year as a track manager, going through and having a drag and drive event there?
Aside from last year's circuit event,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah,
this will. But and of course now the circuit, you guys are hitting another track.
yeah,
This will be our first time seeing who comes back. I guess you
yeah,
could say,
yeah,
um, you know, uh, but
yeah. This
yeah,
year's going to be a
and
lot harder on racers because of the second day of racing. Last year we just drove south to Arkansas and back, so it's like you could go at whatever speed your car could handle it. Well, this year we're racing Friday, racing Saturday, and racing Sunday, so that'd be
yeah,
pretty intense.
and I'm sure there's going to be, stories of carnage as soon as you guys roll in on
Yeah,
your third day of racing, I guess.
yeah,
But um, and then as far as Rocky Mountain Race Week and 666 goes, this is our first time working with these guys, so we're excited to get 3 drag and drives of events at our facility
yeah.
this year. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I'll say I don't know if you were watching last week or not, but I had this thought of like, is Mocan the track that that will host the most events or drag and drive race days? I guess probably a better way to word that in 2024, and you're actually second behind Milan Dragway, which will have five race days, so pretty crazy, man. Like I can't wait for all of these racers to see the track that I've been talking about for 10 years. It's going to be really cool, man. The vibe that everybody's going to get there, and folks are going to be coming from Oklahoma City to Mocan for Rocky Mountain Race Week. Dude, that's a huge trip to make.
That's going to be a long haul. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I obviously not all of them are going to be there when we open the
Yeah.
gates up, but yeah. At what point does the Mocan hospitality, dude, we have to we have to
Yeah.
draw the line somewhere. But like these guys that just make it in with 20 minutes to go, we're about ready
Oh,
to shut the track. This is going to happen.
yeah.
Um, but it's not the Mocan way to go. Sorry, you're too late.
Yep.
Like the
That's
Mocan way is, yeah, get up there, sneak one in. I bet we can make it happen.
Yep. And man, you guys have made concessions for us so many times over the years. We really do appreciate it. And I think this year again is going to be a great way for all the promotion. Like I said earlier, there's going to be 10 or 11 media teams that are there for just our event. So hopefully by the time all of that stuff hits social media and is out there in the world, and then Rocky Mountain Race Week comes in with 1.0 in June, dude, I hope we pack that place with spectators, just absolutely pack it. And then the momentum from Rocky Mountain Race Week being there, and then coming 666 coming from Ozark to Mocan, dude, it's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be nuts.
And and we realize that this is kind of a perfect storm. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not going to be every year that everything lines up that us little track middle of the country
yeah,
gets 3 drag and drives events. So we really want to thrive. We
yeah.
want to hold up to these high expectations that Michael Narks has been spreading around about how great we are.
Well, man, listen, one of the coolest things about the track now, I visited 24 different racetracks last year, right? Lots of racetracks. I feel like, and it's not just bias, but I feel like the vibe at Mocan is vintage drag racing. You guys, we're going to talk about events that you have coming up for the rest of the year, but you guys just hosted the Hot Rod Reunion the other day, which is all vintage dragsters. Like you can go to this track, I would say probably 4 or 5 events a year, and it would be like some of these photos, if placed right, because you guys have some updated stuff, placed right, it could be 1965, 1975, which you guys were open then. So it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, the track has, you know, a personality, and it doesn't really seem to matter what big upgrades we do to modernize the facility. It still has just a, you know, the same kind of feel of a good old drive-in burger place,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. Yep.
yeah, it's just it's got a feel to it
Yep.
that you know that the place has been around for a while.
Yep.
Probably because it's not all like goofy motorplexy, and you know
So,
there's
yeah.
not, I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah,
Um,
and just the scenery leading up to the track, you're out, it's flat, it's like, you guys are in the country. I mean, literally, people, Mocan is MO-KAN because, dude, I think, does the lane straddle the state line, or is it like 10 feet from the track? Like, it's really close to the Missouri-Kansas line.
so the state line is probably a quarter of a mile off to the west,
Oh, nice.
but at one point in time, Missouri had a legal drinking age of 18, and in Kansas, you had to be 21. And I think this was in the 80s. So the everyone thought that the racetrack was the state line. And so you had all these 18, 19, 20 year olds that were hanging out in the pits so that they could drink legally. And I always thought that that was a cool
That's
idea.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun. Well, let's talk about some of the events you got coming up. We talked about Hot Rod Reunion. Sadly, that was the same weekend I was in Georgia for the Southeast Gassers, or I would have been up there because this is my new style of racing. I think it's second to Dragon Drive, but it was really fun hanging out with all the folks up there. But what are some of the other events you guys have coming?
So we are big on nostalgia racing, which,
Mhm.
you know, as you got to see, is a pretty cool group of people.
Yep.
Um, you know, we're lucky that we get to do a bunch of it. So we've with the spring hot rod reunion that we just did. We have like a summertime component to that. It's called the Spam Drags, and then the fall hot rod reunion in October. And those are all Mocan promoted events that have car show, drag racing, swap meet. They're our favorite, I guess, of our specialty events, you could say.
How cool.
We do Mopar races, we do Ford races, we do truck races, we do motorcycle races, and then the big three holiday races that we do. The Memorial Weekend Classic is in its 58th year.
Wow.
Um, our anniversary race, which hasn't always been contested, but we're now doing an annual anniversary race each July. And so that we're celebrating our 62nd anniversary event this year. And then our Labor Day Weekend Classic is in its 59th year. So,
God.
and so those three events are our big three, and those are where we see where we're at capacity and what we need to work on to put more
Yeah.
people in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And for folks that want to get an idea of like how the facility is laid out, man, you've got parking all over the place. But I can't imagine what it's like on. I haven't been to one of the huge races there, but I'm gonna have to make that work this year.
It's cool to look out from the stairs at the top of the tower and go, we're about out of spots. I don't know if we can fit anyone else in here right now.
How cool, man!
Um,
That's awesome.
but thankfully, we haven't had to turn anyone away.
Yeah,
It all works out, I guess. But and you know, and we have all those big events, these specialty events. You know, the Dragon Drives, and we do a few you know, charity races. But we have
301 streetcars,
yes, yeah,
301
301
streetcar
street
shootout.
cars. They will
Love those
be
folks.
Saturday, September 21st.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're a fun group to work with.
Oh yeah.
But we are super fortunate to have an amazing bracket program.
Mhm.
And it's part of it is because of the way the track has been ran for so many years, but we have a huge group of racers. The town that I grew up in of 2,000 people has like 5 or 6 people that compete in our bracket series, and that's just one town. I mean, we
Wow.
get and so running bracket races between our specialty events. It's a good solid program that we're in, a good solid schedule that we're able to put together. With, like I said, I think we are just shy of 80 events that are open to the public. That's not counting
Wow.
track rentals and some of the other rental opportunities that we've got. So it's going to be a long season. This Friday is our last Friday that we have free to do anything we want until uh, the end of October. So
Wow.
yeah, it's going to get busy.
That's awesome.
It's so crazy. That's so crazy. I can't even imagine that. But dude, get it when you got it. You know what I mean? Like Friday,
Yeah,
Saturday, Sunday are going to be huge days for a track to be open. That's what you got to do.
yeah.
Yeah. So let's switch gears a little bit here. So you probably work with quite a few promoters on getting events into the track. Do you have any tips that you can give inspiring promoters?
Well, the number one thing would be communication. There are so many details that go into an event, um, that it's hard to stay on top of all of them.
Yeah.
If communication and organization, and doing all of this way ahead of schedule and not the week of the event.
Mhm.
I think a lot of whenever I think promoters, it's not just drag racing promoters, but race promoters in general.
Yep.
Um, you know, there's kind of a negative connotation around these guys because they come in, it's fly by night kind of deal, and they're there for one weekend out of your entire season, and it's it's really easy for people to you know have a bad taste in their mouth about a promoter if they're not treated right. And I just heard it said the other day that for the promoters that have one event at one track, and this was a NASCAR thing that I was listening to, is you get one chance to make it
Mhm.
right.
Hmm.
It doesn't finances shouldn't really factor in too much. Um, Obviously that's important that you don't lose a ton of money. You want to
Right.
make some money too, but as a promoter going into a track, you have one chance to make things right, and if you don't make the right call, if you upset a group of racers, that reflects back on the racetrack for their entire business life.
Right.
So, um, being a easy to get along with, organized, communicating promoter are the big things to bring to the table.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
That's what's kept me up at night. You saying making the right choice and being a good, being highly like, man, I've been anxious for our upcoming event because I want it to be perfect. I want it to be amazing
sure.
for these people.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
I
another thing, we run enough events that it doesn't always go perfect.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that happens that keeps me up at night. And it probably doesn't, there might not be anybody else that thinks about it, but I saw it, and it's something that I don't like and we need to change.
Yeah.
And that's almost like a life lesson kind of thing, there's going to be mistakes. How can we improve from those mistakes? If we're
Yeah.
able to improve from them, it was awesome that happened. That's a great learning
Yeah.
opportunity. But if
yeah.
we're not able
I've
to,
had a couple of those conversations with Carl and Craig.
yeah,
They've had that
yeah,
at me. I'm not saying I had it at them. They had it at me. Like, hey, do this and it'll be better. And you know what? It was.
yeah,
And I would say don't rely on the track to do all your promoting for you as well. Like you guys are putting on how many events a year? Like you
Yeah.
guys as a track can't promote everybody's event. So that's
Right.
kind of up to the promoter to promote their event.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I haven't really dealt with many bad promoters. Um, and certainly at Mo-Kan, uh, Carl and Craig for the last several years have all of the promoters whipped into shape. But yeah, the biggest thing that I can take from it is, some of the horror stories at other facilities of like, you're posting what on Facebook? Who added this? Where is this coming from? We
Yeah.
didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
It it can make it a tough job, and then we don't see you for until you show up day of or
Yeah.
day before the event, and we're going, look, man, we got a lot of questions, and
Yeah.
we need answers.
Yeah. We schedules, I think, is probably one thing that um, Carl and Craig, well, Carl for sure told me early on. He's like, just let us know when you want them to run. He's like, that's an easy one. Don't rely on us to figure all that out. So that was pretty. That's yeah. I learned a lot, man. They're awesome, and I'm sure I'm going to learn more this time too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll kind of switch gears again. Are you a car guy away from the track?
Yeah, I guess. I don't, you know, with 80 events in a year and there's only 52 weekends in a year, 52, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, like there's not that many free opportunities that I get to go racing.
Yeah.
I have, I'll call it two and a half race cars. I've got a dragster, and I've got a Fox Body Mustang. Neither of them have moved under their own power for a while now, for an embarrassingly long time. But honestly, whenever I get time off, I love drag racing. I love motorsports. I don't want to go to another race. I don't want to
Yeah.
go to another racetrack. So it would be. I dream about the day that I'm an old man and semi-retired from running a racetrack, and I still get to dabble in running a racetrack. But then, maybe one day I can get back into it. But the only way that I would get to go racing would be to do it at my home track, and I won't do that. That's I know better than that. So
Well, one thing I was thinking of a minute ago when we were talking about tips and stuff for promoters is it's too hard to unless you have a team of people working the event like Tom Bailey does or like Keith Haney with the Midwest Drag Race series. It's too hard to race and like it's too hard to race in your own event. There's
yeah,
just too much going on. That's probably one of the hardest things. That was a hard lesson for me to learn. Is that you just you're trying to be in the lanes and you're in the lanes for an hour and people are trying to get a hold of you, trying to ask questions, but you're getting in race mode, So I
sure.
can see where you would have a hard time doing all that.
Well, and and it doesn't matter if it's drag racing, dirt track racing, any of it. There's always a promoter or track manager that has some involvement that turns out to be too much involvement with a car that there's questions, there's drama, and it's just I'm not gonna I'm not
Yep.
gonna open that door up. We're not gonna allow that to happen. So
Yep. So some dude writing rules that maybe fit one of his buddies is what you're saying.
yeah, yeah,
I can guarantee you that happens. We at least hear about it on social media, anyways. It may not
yeah,
happen, but it sure sounds like it does. Wow.
So you said you've got a dragster and a fox body.
yeah, yeah.
What
What are the? Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say what type of dragster is it?
It's a modern, boring bracket rear engine car.
Okay.
Not even like a 632 or anything cool. It's got a 511 in it.
Gotcha.
It's an
Still pretty
old.
cool though.
It's cool. It was my first and only like real race car. So um, yeah, it's fun to say that I have a dragster, and my niece and nephew think it looks cool, but I think that's about as far as it gets me.
What about the
So,
Fox body? What's all done to that?
well, hang on.
Box body's pretty
Let's
well
stay,
bone stock.
yeah, let's stay on the dragster for a second. Like 511, is that a big block Ford or Chevrolet?
Big block Chevy, yeah.
Mm.
So a little bit of a bore with the 454 and a stroker kit.
Yeah.
It's got aluminum GM head. It's a 454 out of a grain truck. Even like it's not fancy stuff, but
Yeah. I mean, but that's the whole thing with those, right? Consistency, being at the track, running the same number every time. That's what you're trying to do with it. What kind of times does it run?
at best like 8 mile 520s.
Oh,
Nothing
there you go.
crazy.
Yeah.
Um, keep in mind, whenever I got this car, I was a senior in high school, and really, I mean, I thought I was
Yeah.
a hot commodity, So
Those are a lot of those are on power glides, right?
yeah, yeah, 2 speed shorty power glide. It's, I mean, the idea with a bracket car is you change oil in it, you check plugs, you check valve lash maybe once a year, and it's you go to the lake. It's off you go. There's not a lot of
Yeah.
maintenance.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, but don't get me wrong. I mean, if I didn't have plans for the car, I would have gotten rid of it already. You know, and it would be nothing that would be a good race car. It'd just be stupid what I want to do to it. But if I sell it, I can't do something stupid to it. So
Well, now I think you have to tell us what you have planned for it. Okay.
I mean, if I had all the money and time in the world, it would have some injected nitro small block or something goofy in there, like,
Yeah.
and I'd still probably bracket race it because I don't know what else I'd do with it.
Right.
Um, but just something to scare everyone with.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. All right, sorry. Let's move. Fox body. Eric is a Fox body guy.
Yeah. So what's going on with
Never,
that?
I never really did. It was a car that was came out of a cornfield, had a cage put in it, and that was it. That's how I
Nice.
got it, and I was 15 whenever I got that car.
Wow.
So had a small block Ford in it, had C4. It was I blew up my first rear end pretty much immediately because it still had the 7.5 in it.
Yeah.
The first 302 I blew up because I was in high school and
Hmm.
it was open. It was the only thing that I had with open headers.
Yeah,
So I was
it's
probably,
still revving.
yeah.
Wow.
So, but that car, being my first race car and having spent a lot of time working on that car and learning a lot with it, um, I'll never get rid of it.
Yeah.
Um, and I won a Mo-Kan track championship in the thing,
Oh
so
wow.
it means a lot to me, and I don't have any plans of like a turbo LS or anything because I would die if that thing hit the wall. I'd be so sad.
Yeah.
So,
Well, if you got
but
that when you were 15, how long have you had that car?
17 years. I'm 32.
Wow, man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I think you ought to get the dragster out, and that's how you kick off every event. Is you get in and make a pass down the track, and events ready now.
Yeah.
So I mean, we really have thrown around the idea, like a lot of tracks have rotators, and rotators are great if you can source the tires for them. A lot of the tracks that have rotators have a bunch of racers that run pro mods or
Hmm.
funny cars or something that they're always getting rid of tires. We don't have a ton of we don't have a great source for tires for a rotator, but we've thrown around the idea of getting just like an old work truck, V8 work truck, taking the bed off, putting the biggest slick on it that we can, and just roasting the tires down and rolling across the starting line, trying to put rubber down
Yes.
ahead of an event. And I think it would work. I mean, I don't see how it would be any different than big tire bracket cars putting rubber down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but the dragster would work really well too. The engine from the dragster in an old work truck would really, uh, yeah,
Now you're talking.
Frankenstein.
Zoomies out. Yeah.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
might even put some weight on the back of it, make it do wheelies every now and then. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
It'd be awesome.
I'm in.
Yeah. Well, while you were talking about that, I was thinking about something. What's the current track record for Mo-Kan?
ooh. So Scott Palmer said it last year at he
Mm.
was our grand marshal for our Nitro Chaos race, our 61st anniversary race. I don't remember exactly what he went. Uh, five something, low five, I think.
Wow, that's awesome.
Um,
In the quarter mile.
in the quarter, yeah. Eighth
Yeah.
mile record, he set it, I think was like 321. 321 maybe.
Jeez,
Yeah.
jeez, that's awesome. That's
But
awesome.
I mean, I think the right big show top fueler comes in for one of our events in the future. I wouldn't be unheard of to see a 299 to the 8th at Mo-Kan someday. So
Wow, that's cool. One thing, you guys have been making huge upgrades over the off season to the facility. I saw some of the pave the pits sponsorship opportunities there, and then so kind of tell us what upgrades are happening at the track.
So we have a lot of asphalt in the pit area that, to our best guess, was put down sometime in the early 90s, mid 90s. And all of that asphalt is going to be replaced this year.
Wow,
So a 90,000 square foot, $250,000 deal. We've got best in the business contractors. Got the folks that are doing this job do airports and highways and
wow,
90,000 square feet. They could get that done with their eyes closed. So yeah, it's just like the wall that got installed a few years ago. That was a pretty similar check that had to get cut to build concrete walls alongside the racetrack.
yeah,
But yeah, this is going to be a major facelift for the facility. But I still don't think that we're gonna. I don't think that we're gonna lose our nostalgic,
yeah.
uh, dive bar kind of feel.
Yeah, I think that'll be awesome. So, if I'm trying to visualize the part that you're asphalting, will it be there by the concession stands, between the concession stands and the track itself, like that whole little area, or not little area because you're 90,000 square feet, but that area there?
So to paint a picture for you, you're coming in through the spectator gate.
Hmm.
You've gone past the gate shack. You've given Jamie your money. You kind of climb up a hill a little bit, and there's a cedar tree there between
Hmm.
the return road or the pit road and the highway. From that cedar tree all the way past the concession stand through staging lanes 1 through 7 to the ET shack, that is all going to be repaved.
Wow, dude, that's awesome. For everybody that's watching, go look at a Google map of Mo-Kan Dragway. That's huge, man. That's going to be really cool.
It's going to be a huge relief once it's done. I can't tell you how many hours Craig and
Oh.
I have spent throwing asphalt in holes, and we are so excited to to not have to do that anymore.
Yeah, I guarantee it, man. That's
And,
pretty awesome.
and when did you say that was going to get done this year?
This year, we don't have a date for sure yet. One of our big concerns is that bringing in 90 plus truckloads of asphalt, um, that it would damage what we've already got. So we want to make sure that the ground is good and firmed up before we start bringing in a lot of equipment. So far, we're about an inch and a half less rainfall than where we should be for the year. So it being a dry year is going to benefit us on getting that
Mhm.
project expedited. But I think our goal is by June or
Wow.
sometime in the month of June, um, ahead of our biggest race of the year with the 62nd anniversary race.
Yeah. How many racers typically show up to the huge race there in June or July?
I would say 30 plus nitro burners, just on the pro show side of
Wow.
things, and then probably a couple hundred sportsman racers that come out to race at a prestigious event and
Hmm.
maybe hit a payday. So But
Dang.
and that those events, while they are our largest in spectator count, they're not our largest participants. Um, we've got our bracket finals event where we welcome in teams of racers from across the midsection of the country, and there's nowhere left to park cars. Our pit area is full,
That's
um,
awesome.
and so we're really lucky to have that event here. And thanks to Carl. That was all Carl's idea back before he had Mo-Kan even. So
Wow.
um,
That's awesome. Yeah, because he's owned it since the 90s, right? I
yeah,
think.
99, and he's the second
Wow.
owner of the facility. So
Oh
um,
wow.
Yeah.
it's and the original uh, family that had the track. There's still they still come out and see us. Our T-shirts, if anybody's ever gotten a Mo-Kan T-shirt, those have been made by the same guy since 1962.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Cool.
he's got a little T-shirt shop in Pittsburgh, and he's done a lot of shirts for a lot of different stuff. Whether it's car shows or
Yeah.
he made uh, Chris Karamessini's the Golden Greek Top Fuel Racer, made his T-shirts for a long time,
That's
um,
awesome.
and he was the announcer out there, and he did a bunch of stuff back when he was a kid. He kind
Wow.
of fell into the deal. So,
That's cool.
but there's a lot of people that have a lot of history with the place that are still around, and it makes it just that much more rewarding to be
Yeah.
making improvements and
Yeah.
It's a special place. I mean, I want people to understand it. It really is a special place. It has a great feel. It has it's welcoming, I would say, for the track there. Well, we're running close to time, Tyler. I want to say thank you so much again. We'll see you in a couple weeks for the circuit. And can you tell everybody where they can find Mocan Dragway on
sure.
social?
MoCanDragway.com will get you just about all the information on any of our events, and then Facebook.com/MoCanDragway. That's we're pretty active on there. And if
Yeah.
there's anybody that has any questions on anything, you can literally get right to me by messaging us on Facebook. Or uh, yeah, we're pretty open with everything we've got going on. So if anybody needs anything Mocan ways, just send us a message on Facebook, and one of us will get to it and get you all
Right.
sorted out.
That's cool. All right, dude. We'll see you very soon. I'm excited. I'm again coming up. You and I and Craig talked a couple weeks ago. I'm going to come up next weekend. What, the 5th or 6th? What's the day you guys have? What's that Saturday? I think it's the 6th.
Yeah,
Uh,
fifth, sixth, and seventh. We're running a test and tune and a doubleheader bracket race on the or the sixth and seventh.
Yep. So I'll be up there on the 6th that afternoon. So if you're going to be in that race, please make sure that you come over and find me. I'm going to set up a tent and we're going to talk about the circuit, and I'm going to try and wrangle in some more spectators to come watch some freaking awesome dragon drive racing. One of the coolest things I think about when I think of the pits at a dragon drive race is it's so different than the pits at a big race, is because there's no trucks and trailers. It's
Yeah,
just cars and trailers. So there's no like, as people walk down through there, all they see is cool hot rods, man. So
Yeah.
again, I appreciate the love and support you guys have given us over the years, and I can't wait to see how much growth Mocan sees from having Dragon Drive races at the events this year, plus the other 76 days of racing you guys have planned.
yeah. Well, guys, I appreciate you having us on, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right, man. Thanks a bunch.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
What a fun dude. I'm
Yeah.
telling you. We've had a great show tonight, man. It's been
Yeah.
really a good time. We've had great guests. Having Bill on again, one of my favorite people in all of Dragon Drive and all of social media and all the stuff we see out there in the media teams. That guy's a favorite of mine. And then, dude, that's the most I've ever talked to Tyler ever.
Yeah.
I mean, we send messages back and forth all the time, and I had a phone call with them talking about the event, probably, I would say 10 days ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, which is exactly what he was talking about. Open communication, talk to those guys, tell them kind of the plans for the day and all that stuff. So I hope folks got some stuff out of the show tonight. Again, want to say thank you to everybody for hanging out tonight, and being our race car friends. Man, it's a growing community here. We love you guys a whole lot. So thank you to all of our race car friends. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the comments tonight. We've had a lot of comments in here tonight. Thank you to our sponsors: Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Change 3D, Howard's Cams, Performer Built Transmissions, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds. And then our newest media partner, PowerTube TV, where you can find this and other exclusive content from us over there on the app or on all social media stuff.